This is VCC Connection, and my name is Ray. Welcome to the crazy house here, I think. We've been doing a lot of laughing this morning. I would like, again, to share with you a meditation from Watchman Nee's A Table in the Wilderness, and just throw out some thoughts to you. And his scripture is 2 Kings 4:9. She said unto her husband, Behold, now I perceive that this is a holy man of God. What an impression Elisha had already made on that great woman of Shunem. Yet till now he had done no miracle in her home, nor is there any record of his having brought to her some prophetic utterance from God. He had simply got into the way of looking in on them when passing and sharing a meal. She could not know him very well, yet to her husband she said, I can see that he is a man of God. It was not apparently what he said or did that conveyed that impression, but who he was. When he came, she sensed God's presence with him. What are people sensing about us? We all leave impressions of some kind. Do they register that we are clever, that we are gifted, that we are this or that? Elisha's visits had one conscious effect. They left on that home an impression of God Himself. What do I leave behind when I enter a room and spend some time there with people? What do you leave behind? Do people come away and say, oh, they've been spending time with God. They must be talking to Jesus. I always think of the scripture where Peter, I think it is, with John, maybe it was, where before the Sanhedrin, and the Sanhedrin look at them and say, these men have been with Jesus. Well, how did they know that, if that's what they're saying? What was on them? What mark? What came out of them as they just stood there or spoke? And then I think of Psalm 23, and at the end of that it says, surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. And we think, well, that's, goodness and mercy will always be with us, always a part of our walk. Or is it goodness and mercy is what we should leave in our wake? That when we come into a room, we bring peace and not chaos. That when we come into a room, we bring acceptance and not rejection. When we come into a room, we bring love into the atmosphere, and it remains. And it remains, and people go, something's different when they're in the room. Do I express God wherever I go? And I'm not talking about words. I'm not talking about praying for people. I'm just talking about being. Do I make a difference in the atmosphere just by being there? These are things I've been thinking about after I read this meditation. What do I leave behind me? What do you leave behind you? This is a tough question. This one is like, oh my goodness, am I making it? Am I hitting the mark with this one? Or am I walking out of a room and people go, boy, am I glad they've left. They're so negative. Or, I don't like them being around them. Is that what they think? Or do they think, oh, I feel like I'm extra special when they're with me? Do you leave behind you the express image of God, His goodness, His very character, which you can read in Exodus 34, His mercy, His compassion, His faithfulness, His forgiveness? Do we leave that in the atmosphere wherever we are? Something to think about this week. Examine our hearts, examine our way of life, our lifestyles. But I know that Father loves you wherever you are. And He wants the most excellent for you and from you. And He will give you the resources you need to be the most excellent. Not do, but be. So, be excellent this week. Release Jesus into the atmosphere and see what happens. It should be a very exciting time again. So have a good week. Thanks for listening. I'll see you next time.